Good morning, everyone, or whatever time you're joining me. Hey! So this is for Friday, February 7th, and I'm always asking for 3 cards to give us the information that we need to know for today that most support our spiritual growth, our soul healing, our physical day-to-day reality, whatever we need to know. And then I have the astrology that will follow up for Washington, D.C. But this first part is for you guys. Of course, the political is the personal, isn't it? Ooh, big changes. Okay, something leading to big changes in the morning. Maybe it's a dream. Maybe somebody in your family that has crossed over visited you during dream time. Wow. 5 of Swords brings in the big changes. It has to do with the end to relationships where it's all just about winning. And I say relationships because we also have the Lover's card. Wow. Now, I allowed for reversals. I always do, 16 reversals. They're in here, but we didn't get that today. We have Death and the Lovers flanking the 5 of Swords. So on a spiritual level, to me, the 5 of Swords relates to our deepest wounding, our deepest confrontation, our deepest conflict with life. It's where we're steeped in duality of either or, winner versus loser, right or wrong, life versus death, pain versus pleasure, that place where it's like either or, and you're always fighting for positive pleasure, but the more you do that, you're kind of steeped in negative pleasure, which we all have a little bit. We have some, we maybe even have a lot when we're first born, because it depends on how we were handled as little ones. Our soul substance absorbs whatever state that our parents or caretakers were in, and we can't differentiate that it's not really us, it's them. And so when we grow up, we have to, clear all that out. But anyway, the right way to handle this card, or the healing way to handle this card, is to detach from, and this is why it's Venus and Aquarius, it's to detach and see things from a higher perspective when it comes to a relationship. Because if you can't be wrong in a relationship, and you're put down and judged harshly for being wrong or saying the wrong thing or whatever, then that's an issue of self-love. If you, and that's duality, right? So the way to heal this is to go to the place of, I can be right and wrong, and no matter what, I can still be loved. That is, if you love yourself and if you can forgive yourself. I screw up in that department on a daily level. I say the wrong things, I write the wrong things all the time, and then I have to go, wait, that didn't come out the way I meant, and I'm so sorry. I was apologizing. But we work things out, and I so appreciate that. Now, with the other dualistic parts, if we go to the place of we can win and we can lose, and just think of like the way kids play games, and it doesn't matter if you're always losing or always winning, you're still, we end up having fun. But this guy is just a jerk. And politically, I've always seen it as Trump. He's got the weirdo hair, and it's winner take all kind of duality. And he doesn't have any love because he's detached from his heart. Because the polar opposite of Aquarius is Leo. And he's just so hell-bent on having everything to himself, because in that way he thinks he can control other people. And it's all about that. So maybe today there's something about him. But for us, well, either way, big changes come with the Death card. Now, I never predict actual death unless I've got the Ten of Swords with it, or the Four of Swords, or the Eight of Swords. So I'm not predicting anything like that. But what I am saying is when we have the death card, there is a big change happening. It comes after the Hanged Man, where we're challenged to look at things from different angles. But if we don't do that, and we don't surrender, and we don't let go, then what happens is we have an ending, which leads to a new beginning. It's really just a card about change and transformation and transition. So I'm thinking that these cards for us speak to a transition away from relationships, and we're making a decision here, right? To join with people who are not so dualistic, not into the either or, right? Like nobody likes to hang out with somebody that just always is confrontational and they're really just looking to be right. If I encounter that in a relationship, I automatically know, oh, that's how they were raised. Their parents just argued all the time, a lot of conflict in the home, and they don't know any other way to relate. So I'll hang in there for some time and try and work that out. But, after a while, you want harmony and love in relationship, and you want to communicate, from both sides being included. So, interesting. Scorpio rules this card as well as Pluto, but we've got, air with the element of air with the other two cards. So, anyway, keywords for the Five of Swords. I think I gave them already for the Death card. Keywords for the Five of Swords have to do with conflict and loss and defeat and winning at all costs and feeling betrayed, feeling ashamed, humiliated, misunderstood. If you're asking about a war type of a situation and you get this card, it's like, oh yeah, it's imminent or it's already happened, And then keywords for the Lovers card is, harmony, relationships where their values are in alignment, and we have, the healthy conversations and the choice that leads to love. But it always cracks me up in this card. She's looking up at Archangel Raphael, and he's looking at her. And I had to draw, clothes over the genitals because of YouTube, but we know what he's looking at. Okay, astrology time. All right. So here's our chart over Washington for February 7th, 4 a.m. Eastern Time. I think I'll probably let's go a couple hours more. They're not up. They're not doing anything. They're not in there. Let's go to 8 a.m. There we go. They might be there. Probably more like 9 or 10. So, interesting how the ascendant has changed. Okay. So we're no longer into Sag, we're into Pisces, and so it puts the lineup of all the houses, planets into different houses. So now there's an emphasis over on this other side. Yeah. So if you're in Pacific Coast and you are in the Washington, D.C. area, then this chart would apply to you as well if you're in that same time zone. So anyway, the moon, we can, so everything's the same except for I'll go over the houses with the stronger, the planetary lineups over here. But notice that the moon has crossed over Gemini. So between yesterday and today, what we're dealing with is something that came, a lot of talk, a lot of communication, a lot of learning, a lot, because of Jupiter makes things expand, okay? And now the moon has made it to 17 degrees, so we're at that ending phase of the, firk around and find out, the learning lesson stage. And later on in the day, because the moon moves about a half a degree every hour, so, 2 degrees, we'll take it to 18, 19. When once we get to the 20-degree stage, then there's something really deepening. So, and this is the fourth house. This would be, so for all day and possibly, well, yeah, all day and even early tomorrow. Well, actually 8 a.m. now. What we have here with the moon in the fourth house is the mood. So the moon will the moon will relate to the mood and the public. So let's just say the mood of the public. In the fourth house, we're talking security, homeland issues, home, family, domestic affairs, and all the things that are like fixed real estate, fixed possessions. Sorry, second house is what do we call liquid possessions? Money that you have and you can spend and you hold on or you let it go. Fourth house is like real estate and the things that take a little more time to move. So, but we're all thinking about our security and our safety. That's what's really going on. And then look at all these trines coming from the moon to Mercury, to the sun, to and Ceres is connecting in this way. So we are concerned about losing our personal data, because up here we've got the abuse by the tech bros, right? The biggest tech bro, Elon Musk. Although I don't think he's the smartest one. But there's tons of talking about this. And this is, Friday. So they'll be talking about it all weekend. We can see that, Trump's appointees have gotten in. I think we pretty much can count on, well, Pete's in, Pete Hegseth is in. I think JFK Jr. got into Health and Human Services. So we have an alcoholic in the Department of Defense. We have a crazy person who had a worm brain twice running Health and Human Services. And then we have Pam Bondi for Attorney General. Tulsi Gabbard most likely is already in for the Department of National Intelligence. She's a Russian plant. And then Kash Patel with the FBI. What? And they're not even all in. That Scott Bessent guy has already done too much damage already with the position that he's in, and he's a part of this, and he has lawsuits coming at him. He will probably be impeached, but we're worried about the damage that could be done before anything is taken care of. So it makes sense to me that, by this day, we have this stellium of Aquarius and Pisces energy all lined up. Well, the 12th house, let's talk about that first, because the sun is shining and we're talking about, and people are wondering about and learning about and connecting with grief and separation of data and worrying about people being in control that don't have any business. The abuse of power is just unbelievably scary. And the 12th house, definitely relates to troubles and limitations and anxieties and worries and everything that's secret and hidden. And so we're wondering about that. Like, we want to know what's hidden. It's the not knowing that is the most scary to most people, right? And so we have that going on, but we also have the opportunity here with this sextile from the moon to Chiron to stand up and assert yourself and speak up, write, and leave voicemails. Go to, if you can go to your senator or your House rep and your senator's offices and demand to be seen and heard, right? Somebody commented, I think it's Jeffrey Thompson that commented, or somebody else did, and he loved it like I did. She said, and I can't remember who she is, I'm so sorry. She said, the open mouth only gets fed. So we got to open our mouths, right? So yeah, okay. Now we have the square to Mars like we had, so things are tightening up. Well, Mars is backing, it's because it's retrograde, but it's still in a tight connection to Chiron. So we have two connections to Chiron. Chiron in Aries does not like to be abandoned and doesn't like to lose its independence either, right? And we're worried about what people who are impulsive have been doing in our government. So, and then Saturn, to have Saturn, the North Node, Neptune, Venus, and Chiron all in the first house of our, so this would be our government, but their identity in Washington. They're having to figure out who they really are. A lot of them are just aligned with Trump, and this is why we need to speak up to them, because their constituents need to remember that they work for you. You pay their taxes. So, we really have to step up, and even in the states where, like my state in Oregon, my reps are like right on top of all the good things, and Ron Wyden is a really hard fighter, but really strong fighter. But I still have to let him know how much I support him, right? Because he needs those numbers. It's helpful to prove that, this is what the people want. We the people. That's the light side of Aquarius. We the people. And in the 12th house, things can come full circle. The 12th house to me is like big beginnings and endings, but really where nothing ever really ends. It's just a new, you take one breath, hopefully you get another, right? But even if you don't, you transition to another place, so there's not a real end. But I'm thinking that because of the Sun and Mercury, because Mercury's about, speaking out and messages, and the Sun is a spotlight on something, in the 12th house, I'm thinking it's about detention camps in Guantanamo Bay. I'm thinking there's probably going to be a lot of news about that. Mercury rules the news. And how do we feel about all of that? We're learning. How do we feel about all these things that we're learning more and more? How do the people that voted for Trump feel about all these new things that they're learning? And then Mars down here with the two inconjuncts that are really tight, again, like I said yesterday, Mars in Cancer is all about action to protect the homeland. In the 5th house now, Mars is heating up, and Mars is not taking any, it's like, taking names and kicking ass and just not taking it, right? It's strong. It's also, a house that's ruled by the Sun. And, of course, like I also said yesterday, our United States, not Constitution, but I have the Constitution chart over here. What sun is... Oh, yeah, it's in Virgo. Yeah, that's 1787. But July, 4th, 1776, Independence Day chart. The sun, of course, was in Cancer, and I think there are several other planets, too. A couple other. I think there's a stellium in Cancer in that chart. I remember it's over here, I think, in the 7th house. I'll have to look at that someday. Anyway, we want protection. That's what we, came here for. Not to be taxed without representation, not to be under a king, right? Not to be under a monarchy. We didn't sign up for a king. Maybe some hard, MAGAs did, but I think most likely what happened is that they just got caught up in something that they didn't understand. And that is why we have Saturn in Pisces, the North Node, and Neptune in Pisces, so that they can work that out and figure out, the details are over here, the information's out there, they just have to go looking. They're not going to get it from Fox News, and they're not going to get it from any social media platforms that are geared towards Trump, and they're not going to get it from Truth Social, they're not going to get it from anything Elon Musk puts out. So there's that. So, okay. Uranus is in an applying trine. Now it's only 5 degrees right now, but a little more than 5 degrees, but it's in an applying, so this is approaching, applying energy, means that it's stronger. And Uranus enlightens and awakens and helps to liberate, and the fast-moving energy is headed towards the details of the past. South Node is about the past. This has to do with our health care as well. And then the other trine, of course, connects with Pluto. Pluto has now moved into the 11th house, or it's in the 11th house for this day, which has to do with, more power to the people, because the 11th house has to do with humanity. So that's, it's looking better. It's looking better. And we still have those squares connecting from Uranus to Chiron. So there could be some shocking separations of power going on here, because we want safety. With Uranus in the second, it's like safety first. Stability and safety first, because you cannot build if you don't have stability, right? You can't build a house on shaky ground. So, yeah. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded, and I need to do Saturdays and Sundays because I'm working. Okay, take good care, you guys. Bye.